this and that and what the fuck else, episode 117. This one I'll be talking about the pestilence, the Donbass, and the Ukraine. And then there's something from the World Economic Forum that is extremely disturbing. Earlier this evening, as I was preparing the stuff, I saw that it looks like the shit is hitting the fan in Brazil. I don't know what is going on there. They've stormed the Parliament building and the Supreme Court building. The police, the local police is not stopping them. And Bolsonaro is not there, he's in Florida. I really don't know what's going on there. Things are a bit turbulent, I would say. And then we all heard about the story of the Ukrainians that hit that school building where the Russian soldiers were gathered before deployment. And the first report said they killed 400. As per usual, you have to wait for the facts to come out. Seems to me the final death toll was 89. And then there was the Christmas Day ceasefire that Putin implemented. And early this morning, the Russians took revenge for that school bombing. And from the first reports that I've received, it seems like they killed about 800 Ukrainian soldiers in 2 incidents. So, that is payback. Now let's start this one again with a photograph. This is something that would typically be entered in a landscape category. I like the shot, I like the lighting, but I would have preferred a horizontal crop or a square crop. But it's a good shot. And then we get to the pestilence, and the stuff that's coming out about the pestilence is just getting weirder and weirder and more disturbing as the days go by. And what really astounds me is, despite all of these reports that are coming out now, and that is actually allowed to come out now, I cannot understand how the fuck is it possible that that damn injection is still around. And I can't understand why we don't see people in bangles. But the world has gone crazy. Listen to this shit. The emails between government officials and multiple local councils appear to discuss the possibility of introducing the pestilence shot into the city water supplies in areas where the jab rates haven't reached 90%. What the fuck is that? Guys, we are under attack and under threat from this World Economic Forum and its gangsters, which is serious. They're not playing. Believe me not, they're not playing. Definitely not. And then we have this from this Polish author. The vaccine should be tested on politicians first. If they survive, the vaccine is safe. If they don't, then the country is safe. Well, I think that is a very clever idea. But now I've read many articles which said that, and there is a hell of a row in the European Parliament and so about a lot of politicians got the saline. They didn't get the real thing. But let's see where it goes. And then this next is from the Donbass, and it's extremely disturbing actually. We must never forget we're dealing with people here. The 204th Kiev TRO battalion has returned from Artemovsk. Now Artemovsk is what the Russians call Bakhmut. The desire to preserve Artemovsk at any cost and to prevent its complete liberation by Russian troops before the new year was perfectly illustrated by a Turkish photographer. The pictures show the graves of primarily fighters of the 204th Battalion of the Kiev TRO. This untrained unit of metropolitan managers, servers, construction workers and other civilian professionals was thrown into Artemovsk by Zelensky. The result fell into the lens of the Turkish photographer. Naturally, there are burials of destroyed fighters from an earlier period, as well as from other formations, but they do not change the overall picture. And this is really, listen to that. Untrained unit of metropolitan managers, servers, construction workers, and other civilian professionals was thrown into the Artemovsk by Zelensky. They were thrown into the fucking meat grinder. This Zelensky, his time is running out. Now look at these images. This is really disturbing. Look, that is a hell of a lot of graves. And some more, and you cannot, I don't even want to try and think what the relatives of these dead soldiers, how they must handle this. Look at this girl walking there. What the fuck? These are all people. And then look at this person sitting here. Was it really necessary? The West must take a lot of the blame for what you see here, because they are fueling this fire. And then we get to this image. And it is actually quite disturbing. It's a satellite image of Bakhmut. Now look there in the top picture, the normal standard village. And then you look at the bottom picture after 3 months of fighting. There's nothing left basically. And then we get to this one. An army echelon of the Russian armed forces with ODAB 500 was spotted. ODAB 500 is a volumetric detonating bomb. The striking effect is achieved by a powerful blast wave and thermal radiation. The fragmentation field formed is insignificant and mainly consists of secondary fragments. That was a hell of a long train full of those bombs. And what I have read is that the latest missile attacks on Ukraine, the Russians are no longer going for the infrastructure as much as for command and control centers, and specifically the aerial defense systems. And they've taken out a lot of them. And it is my opinion that they are taking those aerial defense systems out to open up the way for their bombers. And then they're going to start using these things in this terrain. Because up to now, the fight is with missiles. And then we get to this from Forbes magazine. After delivering 24 Russian-made Su-35 aircraft, Iran plans to build the remaining needs up to 60 aircraft inside Iran in cooperation with Russia. And I am sure that a report like this is leading to the bleeding of a lot of hemorrhoids in the Newcon cabal there in the shithouse. So that toilets must be a bloodbath. And then we have this. No matter what kind of demagogy, smart heads in studios and broadcasts, only the Russian army will bring victory to Russia. Russia will win this war, and the rest of the victories will follow this one. Well, at this point in time, it seems to me that's the way it's going there. Ukraine's president is another bloody figure in the hands of the US government, whose goal is divisiveness in Eastern Europe. This is the opinion of Arnold Schulzel, a columnist for the German newspaper Junge Welt. Zelensky continues the policy pursued by nationalists since 2014, showing disdain for the Russian-speaking population of Ukraine, while shelling the residential areas in Donbass with artillery. The German journalist also accused Zelensky of being the one who created all the conditions for the conflict in Ukraine. He sabotaged the peace talks, threatened with a nuclear bomb in February, and received $40 billion from US taxpayers in the form of military aid as gratitude. Now it is long past that 40 billion, it's now by 100 billion already. But I don't know. I've asked the question many times. I don't know what the fuck is there in the Ukraine that the West is so desperate. But I have listened to a lot of debates and I've read a lot of articles, and it would appear to be that one of the real issues is that if Russia wins conclusively in Ukraine, NATO is finished, because Russia is actually fighting against NATO. And another thing that I've heard about, there are certain weapons that the Americans and the West don't want to give the Ukraine, because they are scared those weapons are going to fail, and that will do a lot of damage to the military-industrial complex. And then we have this little picture here. Ukrainians watch Zelensky's New Year greetings and greet him with a fascist salute. Such a sweet, cheerful country. That is the people that Western taxpayers are financing. And I've asked the question in one of my other Skidmarks, and on Twitter, debates I was. The Nazis showed during World War II what they are willing and capable of doing to Europe. And it was the Russians that stopped them. But the Russians paid with 27 million of their people killed. And that movement is waking up again, very alive and in charge in the Ukraine and everywhere in the countries around it. There are signs of them coming to the forefront. Now, what does the Europeans think will happen if those Nazis pull a WW2 again on Europe? Who's going to save them? Zelensky gives his government powers to restrict the media, block websites, order big tech to censor, such a beaming array of democracy, plus banning opposition parties and removing workers' rights. And you could add there his fight against the Russian Orthodox Church. The new Azov unit has been formed in Ukraine forces. The 3rd Assault Brigade Azov is fighting near Bakhmut and recently led an assault towards Kuryamavovka. Now we all know that the Azov brigades are Nazis. And then there is a message that I hope Zelensky reads. And it's from Black in the Empire. Hey Zelensky, don't forget that Bin Laden and Saddam Hussein were our allies when we needed them to fight Russia and Iran for us. Remember how that ended? I think Zelensky needs to take a good look, a deep breath, and think. And now then, this Arina Kosakova, she makes the most outrageous posts on Twitter. Listen to this one. Volyn massacre. You write what your textbooks write. But in fact, the Russians dressed up in the UPA uniform and destroyed Polish villages, then changed into Polish uniforms and destroyed Ukrainian villages. Old-timers remember this. Bandera has never fought on foreign lands. And the poster said, laughing my ass off, what is this satire? Crazy people. Then we have this. From a recent WAPO article, Washington Post. Ukrainian General Kovalchuk confirms that they plan to blow up the new Kakhovka Dam in Kherson region back in November as a last resort, which could have potentially flooded tens of settlements. Surovikin was right. And Surovikin pulled his soldiers out from Kherson for the simple reason that they feared the Ukrainians are going to blow that dam, and that would drown the people below the dam. But now it looks like the Ukrainians has given that shit up because they're in charge of Kherson, and I don't think they want it flooded. And then we get to that shit from the WEF. Pedophilia is nature's gift to humanity, says Klaus Schwab. Pedophiles are not monsters or social deviants, says CNN. Pedophilia is not a crime, New York Times. Woe to those who call good evil and evil good, says God. The World Economic Forum declares pedophilia will save humanity. The World Economic Forum is now calling for the decriminalization of sex with children, arguing that laws against age gap love does more damage. What the fuck is that? Can you believe it? Guys, this WEF is a satanic movement, and they are everywhere. Everywhere in our governments. These people need to be removed from society. If we don't do it, they are going to kill us all. Listen to what I'm saying. And then we get to that what the fuck moment. And this is actually a great what the fuck to remember. Before we work on artificial intelligence, why don't we do something about natural stupidity? And that is so valid. And that is something that you should remember. And on top of remembering this, remember that WEF. And here in South Africa, we know that DA has got WEF ties. Ramaphosa has got ties with them. In America, there was now a hell of a story with that new speaker that took something like 16 rounds of voting before he was elected. That guy is on the WEF website. I don't know how and what are going to happen, but if we do not get out from under that satanic cabal, humanity is doomed. I mean, I just read to you, these fuckers want to screw children. Can you believe it? They want to legalize it to have sex with children. How is that possible? And on that shit note, please give me a like and a subscribe and share the thing. Thank you for your support.